when a fellow pupil flicked cheese onto the back of his neck. He went into anaphylactic shock and was rushed to hospital, where he tragically died 10 days later.
Well, on Friday, a coroner ruled that the actions of the schoolboy who flicked the cheese were childish and thoughtless, but that the case was extraordinarily rare. Karanbir's mother, Rina, joins us now, and it's lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in today, and I'm sorry it's under these terrible circumstances. When did you find out that he had the allergy? Because it started very young, didn't it?
Yeah, he was initially diagnosed at 3 months old with milk, which is dairy, by a doctor at Ealing Hospital, where she then put him on Nutramigen milk.
Yeah.
And because he suffered from eczema, ectopic eczema, his eczema kind of healed.
And you'd, throughout his life, he'd had moments where he had gone into anaphylactic shock before.
The first sign of anaphylactic shock was in 2005.
Yeah.
I think there was a family gathering and he took a twiglet, saw him crawling and took a twiglet, thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
I didn't live very far from my dad's house at that time, and then when I went home, within the space of 10 minutes, he blew. His face was red, got hives, his lips really swelled up. I dialed an NHS 101 number and she recognised the sign straight away. Within 2 minutes, the paramedics came, and as soon as they came up the stairs, they administered an EpiPen without even thinking.
Yeah.
And he was a very intelligent boy, very bright, very mature for his age.
Thank you.
But he said, that's OK, you can do.
Yeah, because when he was young, he couldn't eat a lot. I didn't think it was fair on my son that I'm eating things that he couldn't eat in front of me. So whatever he ate, I ate. I trained him so that when we went out shopping, he had to read things himself. So he became aware himself.
Yeah, which is the best thing, because, of course, that makes all the difference. On this day, so it's the 20th of June, 2017, and it's a normal morning in your family. You're running late for work, you've given him his breakfast in his room, and you head out the door and sort of shout up and tell him to get ready. And that's a moment that you say, actually, for you, you just wish you'd gone and had a proper final goodbye.
Yeah.
Which is really tough.
You don't think that you're running late for work, work comes priority. He was getting ready, and he had a phone, trained phone up, and bus phone up on his phone.
Yeah.
And he would sort of literally 5 minutes later run to the bus. And I was running late, and I just ran and I said, don't be late for school.
You can't ever know what's going to happen in life.
No,
and I know that he was your life. What have you managed to piece together of what happened that day at school?
He was very aware of himself. I was never afraid of him going out in that world eating anything. He was very, very alert. I thought he would go to school, come back, but knowing that something like this can happen is just devastating.
And so the actual incident with the cheese, what do you know about that?
Apparently it was flicked,
right.
And it's one of the specialists said that because where he scratched his skin so much, it became abrased.
Because it started to itch and bother him, and so as he scratched it, he's sort of drawn blood, it's been able to go in
from his
further.
Yeah.
He knew straight away that he was in a serious situation, didn't he?
That's right. So as soon as that happened, he went straight to the teacher in the hall and said, I'm allergic to cheese. Some other pupils thrown cheese at me, and he said, go straight to the welfare room. And from there, it just deteriorated.
Yeah.
Well, the boy who threw the cheese was expelled later from the school, apologised from behind a curtain during the inquest. He said, I just want to say that I didn't mean any harm. I'm sorry for what I did. And the coroner ruled that the boy's actions were childish and thoughtless, but not calculated. He was known, apparently, to have thrown food before, admitted that he thrown a banana skin at another pupil that day. That was mentioned at the inquest. But no malice there. I mean, the last thing he would have expected was that it would have such a catastrophic effect on your son.
Yeah.
And so when did you get the call?
I got the call at 11:33 when I was at work, and they said I was asked, can Karen take Piriton? I never asked for a phone call. I've always said, give it first, then let me know. And then I said yes. And the mother's instincts are so strong. I just knew something wasn't right. So within 5-7 minutes, I got another phone call, can you come to school now? And then that's when I rushed to school.
Well, they'd administered an EpiPen, which tragically was out of date. You rushed to the school, and obviously they say don't go in, but you went in anyway, because of course a mum would. And he's surrounded by paramedics. What did you see then?
I saw Karen on a paramedic table, unconscious.
Yeah.
And he was taken to hospital. He was later transferred to Great Ormond Street. He was put on life support. And that first 72 hours is key, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And you then have this wait because he didn't get better and he was in hospital for 10 days.
Yeah.
And then as a family, you have to make probably the most heartbreaking, toughest decision any mother could possibly make, and that is to turn off the life support machine.
Yeah. You always pray for the last-minute miracle.
Yeah.
We had our prayers. He had his brothers and sisters from Wolverhampton with him. My uncle, my brothers, my son's uncles were there. And I had their support, and we just didn't want to switch it off.
Yeah.
But I saw him deteriorate, cardiac arrest regular, and it wasn't fair on his little body to go through this because he suffered from lack of oxygen to the brain.
You say you got some comfort from the expression on his face.
Yes. One of the family members, a doctor herself, and she even said she's never seen it. He smiled. When the machine was turned off, they took him into another room, and we obviously said our last goodbyes to him, or the family did, before he was taken down to the mortuary. He had a smile on his face.
What would you like to see done now? Where did this go wrong?
Education. Education starts at home.
Education for the child?
Education for children, including parents, to understand that allergies now are so common. If somebody said to you, you're going to have a heart attack, you'll respond straight away. If somebody said you've got an allergy, it's not taken so seriously. Allergies can cause death and has, in fact, caused deaths because lack of education.
How do you now move on? I mean, you you wait for the inquest. The inquest finished last Friday. Now, as a family, you have to pick yourself up and continue with life. How are you able to do that?
One day at a time, one moment at a time. I hope I can help people to understand.
That flick the cheese.
I'm numb, but still devastated. It's hard to forgive. It's very hard to believe that lack of understanding, especially where he was warned not to do it in school, and my son wasn't safeguarded. I'm numb.
We have a right of reply here from Twyford COV Academies Trust, who said, we now hold 2 spare EpiPens in each of our schools. The school had not been provided with allergy action plan, and we fully believe that this would have strengthened the school's healthcare provision. The system we have in place for checking medication provided to the school, however, did not operate as it should have.
The coroner's also said that there's a national lack of understanding over the use of EpiPens as well.
Correct.
And so if anything good can come out of this, then maybe it is a greater awareness. Maybe, as you say, it will prompt further education and understanding and the catastrophic effects that anaphylactic shock can have.
Yeah. I think the school's education, as I say, starts from home. I've always taught my child first. When we went shopping, if he wanted something, I'd say, read it. Tell me if you can have it. That's how I taught my son. And the schools need to make children aware. It's like diabetics on the rise. If you ask a 13-year-old what diabetics is, they wouldn't know. There's no harm in educating them. Even showing, this sounds bad, but even showing videos of what could possibly go wrong. We look for signs when someone has a heart attack. They need to start looking for signs for children who are allergic to food, to take it serious. It's not something that's, oh, it's only an allergy, you'll get better.
Of course not.
You don't get better from it.
Thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry.
Rina, I'm
so sorry.
Thank you.
so sorry for you, and I know this has massively affected your father as well. They were terribly close.
My dad, he was my dad's best friend.
Yeah.
Wherever my dad went, he used to wake up in the Saturday morning when I used to be asleep and go shopping with his granddad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
My love to the whole family.
Yes,
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
For having me.